Hi everyone, welcome to today's video. So, today's Sunday, and normally I don't work on Sundays, but today I was working, filling in. My makeup went on about 6:10 this morning. It's about 6:30 tonight. That same look I was showing you, matte crease and shimmer lid. Loving it. This is in different colors today. I have my Osmosis concealer on. No cracking. No breaking open. I have my Osmosis foundation on. I have a little bit maybe off on my nose. Really none on my chin. But today's video, I just wanted to share with you guys just, a few things about my recent doctor's visit. Um, you know, Losing so much body mass. I got injured. So the vaginal mesh, had many, many surgeries, 6 to repair. Over the course of 4 years, something like that. And I had other surgeries, emergency on top of it. Before the mesh issue happened, the mesh made me not mobile. It was hurting some of my nerves. So, and hence, I gained a lot of weight, got fat. I mean, there's real no nice way to say it. I couldn't work out. I couldn't pay for the food I ate. So at my age and in that particular time, my hormones weren't balanced. So I really got fat. If my hormones would have been balanced, I wouldn't have suffered as much. But what I didn't know, I didn't know. So when you get really, really heavy, most people become type 2 diabetics. It is a problem for obese. There's hardly any percentages of people of a normal body weight that suffer from type 2 diabetes. The percentages is probably more like 2% of the population could have a normal body weight and still suffer from type 2 diabetes. But hence, when you become so overweight, the body becomes resistant to insulin, which means it makes too much insulin because it's trying to get it inside the cells. And the cells' receptors to insulin close off like this. So it won't take the insulin into the cells where it needs to go. Hence, you become insulin resistant. It becomes like a constant circle, around and around. It's a bad one. It's a bad circle. So, I wanted some extra help. The last thing that my body is correcting, as I approach these last pounds to lose, is my sugar, my blood sugar. This is some process that's completely normal. This is what happens. My body got used to the new normal, which meant high blood sugar because of my weight. In the first 80 pounds, I had no sugar problems. These last 15 pounds or so, 20 pounds, to reach 100 pounds down, my body notices. Now the sugar problems come into tact because, why? Because insulin is a hormone to the body. So the cells treat it like a hormone. So since my hormones are balanced, especially, now we're really cutting into the problem of being insulin resistant. And these last pounds are going to essentially wipe the slate clean, but it will take time for my pancreas to kind of realize it doesn't have to pump out as much insulin. It's just, especially because of my age, 51, it's going to take just a little bit more time for my body to right itself. So I wanted some help plugging the holes as I train harder, meaning, my blood sugars are approaching completely normal ranges, but for me, being used to having high blood sugar on board, doesn't feel the best. You cannot eat. You cannot eat when you feel like, my blood sugar is low, because 9 times out of 10, your blood sugar is not in a critical crisis low. So you don't want to feed it the low blood sugar, even if it feels like it, because you don't want your body to stay used to high blood sugar. So you just kind of have to ride out the rough spots. So as I'm training and pushing hard, especially in those intervals where you go as fast as you can possibly go for 1 minute, down for 1 minute, up for 1 minute, down for 1 minute. You're burning a lot of sugar. You're on board sugar. You're doing fast, slow, fast, slow. So you're burning through what you have, then you're switching to fat because the body has no choice. It's burned up all of its stored glucose, it's all of its reserves. Now you're switching to fat. High, low, high, low. You're pushing time, pushing time. So I armed myself with as much information as I possibly could, which most of it I knew. The things that I was worried about, or I thought, am I on board, or do I have enough information to talk intelligently with an endocrinologist that does not know nothing about functional medicine? So, the man was younger than I expected him to be for a specialized doctor. Takes extra training. He was very young, which means he's most likely super intelligent to push through all the time it takes to specialize in a certain area. So, he didn't like keto. He didn't think ketosis was a great idea, meaning targeted fasting, controlling my blood sugar through fasting. I wasn't there to change his mind about his science. I was only there to advocate for myself, ask him an expert opinion about plugging the holes of information that I needed. Do I need a drug called metformin? Actually, a lot of functional doctors use this drug. It's very old. It's got a great track record. And most of the current studies on metformin is that it's basically the fountain of youth. Why? Because it keeps your cells open, so you're not resistant to insulin, which helps all kinds of stuff in the body. Even if you're not diabetic, functional doctors use a drug called metformin to help patients. They're on 1,000 milligrams. Max dose is 2,500 every single day. People without type 2 diabetes, because of this drug and what it does for the body as it ages. The best science that we have on it is this drug is the ultimate holy grail in a lot of areas. I've read at least 5 studies about this particular drug. Now, as I said, it becomes confusing because drugs only mask a problem, but this particular one was designed to not mask or mimic. It was actually designed to open cell receptors. So it was kind of ahead of its time when it was put on the market. It doesn't affect blood sugar like instantaneously. Like, oh, you take a pill and you have low blood sugar. It doesn't work that way. It takes longer for it to function inside the body. It stays on board long time. They have long release. So I'm just asking him questions. because from 50 to 70, these 20 years, I want to make sure my blood sugar is completely in control, completely normal, because when I'm 70, the issues of having blood sugar is much harder to deal with and impacts my brain and my organs at a much faster rate. So I want these next 20 years for it to be cleaned up, tight. I want every level that I have to be completely normal, so as I approach the backside of life, the backside of life, my brain is okay. I'm not shrinking it from too much glucose in my bloodstream. You know, my insulin, meaning I want my organs protected. So these 20 years, I want to lock the ship down, because aging is a disease process to the body. And sure enough, this younger gentleman talked to me about aging disease process. He talked to me about several things. It was fascinating, but if I hadn't have gone there and advocated, he would have gave me the standard, okay, I need you to take this drug, I need you to take your blood once a day, twice a day, I need you to come back in 3 months, I need you to eat. Hence and lies the difference that I pointed out to him. He told me diabetes has no cure. And I said, my response to him was, in your world, there is no cure. In my world, there is a cure. It's called discipline and eating correctly. Not eating what you want and then taking a pill because you messed up. So functional medicine, the key to type 2 diabetics is ketosis. I have read this in countless studies, modern studies. So this is a big difference between modern medicine studies and functional medicine studies. Who pays for modern medicine studies? Who pays for it? Who backs the dollar to find out what drugs or what human thing can we fix? Pharmaceutical and government back modern medicine studies. They back the universities who do the studies. They get big grants from pharmaceutical companies and the government. Who pays for functional medicine studies? Does anybody know? Private money. It's not backed by big pharma. It's not backed by the government. And I'm not against either. Whatever. I mean, I'm not dogging. I don't like big pharma, no. But I'm saying it's a capital. We live in a capital country. These people are there to make money. That's exactly what they're doing. Yes, they are making money at the sacrifice of humankind, in my opinion, but still. And I just blank statement like, bad government, bad pharma. No, I don't like the government in my healthcare. It has no business there. But it is what it is, so we deal with it as we go. So functional medicine studies are not paid for by the same pots that pay for modern medicine studies. And if you don't think that that makes a difference, you're wrong. It really makes a huge, huge difference. I've spent hundreds of hours studying this subject. All the information is out there, but I mean, what weirdo, besides for me and, some other people that really want to be informed, go out, running around looking at studies and who backs it and why do they back it and what's happening. So since I do it and I know the information, again, just passing it through the line. So he believes his studies and he believes his medicine, and that was okay for me. He wasn't a mean guy. We did butt heads, I said, well, we can go study for study. And because that's basically what he wanted me to relent, by quoting me studies. But then I just came back to him and said, for every study that you quote me, I can quote you another one that says the exact opposite. And I said, so I'm not here to battle you. I'm just here for the information I need to plug these last few holes. Can you do that? Because if not, I can move on to the next doctor. Because remember, people, excuse me, you pay them. Okay, yes, they went to school. They went to school for a long dang time. Yes, they're smart. Yes, they know more than you on the body. But you cannot roll into your doctor, at least that's my recommendation, and just say, Doc, fix it. I need a pill to whatever. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Eventually, the body just says no. That we're living in an era in humankind that is facing the most toxic burdens. And I don't want to run to Europe and live. I'm an American. I'm proud to be an American. But the difference is their food chain is completely untainted. They don't use dyes and chemicals in their food chain. I lived there for 6 years. They know better. This is why everyone thinks it's the wine or whatever. It's not the wine. It's the fact that their government blocks food from having toxins in it, from having dyes and mega preservatives and stuff that's really not food that's labeled food. They don't have as long a shelf life as we do. They have stuff that rots. This stuff is supposed to rot. It's supposed to not sit on a shelf forever. I mean, there was never supposed to be a loaf of bread designed to sit on the shelf for 2 weeks. But hey, we did it. We got a way to make it happen. But that means that loaf of bread is really not good for consuming. But we consume it. So I got what I needed from him. I got some test strips put in so I could get a break on the price. I got some training tips, meaning about blood sugar. I just kind of laid out exactly what I need. And he, to his credit, said, okay. And I said, I'm looking for the cure. Of course, he did not agree. He thinks that it's completely uncurable. Especially since I've been dealing with it for about 10 years. But most of those 10 years, I was not in a good toxic place, a good body weight, or hormonal balanced area. So you can look these details up yourself. You don't have to take my word for it, but if you do, that's great, because I've spent a lot of time to learn about it. I wasn't super aggressive with him, but I know exactly what I'm talking about. And I told him how much, I'm supplementing, I'm filling the gaps because I'm aging. He did not agree. He didn't get deep dived into why he doesn't agree with supplementation, because I stopped him and told him it wasn't necessary for him to tell me his take on supplementation, because his take would have came from modern medicine studies and supplements that weren't compounded in a completely organic way. Because supplementation isn't worth it, and it's not worth to spend the money if you roll up to the Walgreens and just start pulling pills down, thinking you're doing yourself a justice when it's compounded with stuff you don't even know what those words mean. The body can't break it down. If you don't know what the word means, the body can't deal with it. Just remember, if you have to stand and Google like I do because I see a word and I'm like, what? Is this a real word? And especially a word with a number attached. That means it's not food. Okay? Or it's not compounded cleanly. Your supplement should say blueberry, gelatin caplet. That's it. Your vitamins should say gelatin caplet, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, the mineral list. That's it. You know how to read minerals. You know how to read vitamin A. It's plain English. There's nothing fancy about it. But when it's compounded with a bunch of long, fancy words, that means the body can't even use it. So don't buy it. Move on to the next one and buy that one if it only says vitamin C. There's fake vitamin C, there's real vitamin C. And there's vitamin C gummies and all this. Well, how do you think they make the gummy? Because they're compounding it with stuff that's no good. I know. I feel your pain. I was okay with the appointment. I wish I could have found a functional medicine guy to help me on this topic. But where I'm located at in Missouri, there's only a handful of either integrative or functional guys, and they're very leaning on the hormones and environmental pressures. They're not as much as addressing other stuff. Meaning functional guys and integrative doctors, they're regular doctors that decided to go back to school and learn more. They learn about environmental pressures and why this happens and why are we aging like this, why do we have 50,000 cancers now, why do we have all these brain issues that we never had, blah, blah, blah. Now, I did find a couple that I probably could have went to. I wanted to try this route first. I don't know the other couple of integrative doctors that I found, and I needed to read more about them and study them more. I studied this guy, so I thought I'd give it a shot. There's always a give and take when you see a regular doctor. You can't expect them to know because they just don't know. And it doesn't make him a bad guy, and it doesn't make him a bad doctor. It just means that he don't know. He only knows what he learned. And if he doesn't go back to school, and I can't blame him. It's a pain in the ass to go to school. But it was frustrating for me when he said your pancreas is dying, you know. Nobody's pancreas is happy when you're overweight and you're producing too much insulin, too much for your bloodstream. That's a fact. But just to say it, like, bleh, I don't know, it was just weird. And it is depressing when people are coming at you with their opinion. But then I said, well, I'm still not done with the weight loss. So I'm looking for these last pounds to correct just the last remaining issues. And I'm training harder. I'm going to start training harder physically. And, I told him I need him to monitor me. Just my blood. I didn't need his lecture or his opinion. I just needed him to plug the holes that I can't do for myself. He agreed. He's going to check my blood in 3 months. He plugged some information holes. Like I said earlier about my training, he thinks maybe the metformin is a good idea, even if I'm training very, very hard. And he's telling me don't eat when I'm feeling like I have low blood sugar, so my body will reset itself to the new normal, which is actually just completely normal blood sugar. Your brain will adapt and the body will adapt to anything, even if it's bad, and it then becomes the new norm, and it doesn't want to lose weight, and it doesn't want to let go of its bad cells, because for that body it's the normal. So now I'm at the bitter end of my 1.5 year long journey. I feel really strong. I feel good. I'm sleeping good. The moral of the story is always the same. Information about your own body and your own preferences is the most important thing you can do for your life, especially on the backside as we're aging. It is your power. It's your personal power. You cannot expect them to know everything that they don't, just like I couldn't expect myself to know 10 years ago what I know now. Although it would have been great, yeah, would have been great. I would have been way ahead of the curve. I'd have been completely locked up by now and just had it all done. But it didn't work out that way. It didn't happen that way, and it's okay. We're just going to deal. Not going to fall on the floor over it. So don't beat your regular guy up too much. My husband went with me. He asked some questions, so we both pushed him around a little bit, and it was okay. It was okay. He's going to fill the gaps. And is that kind of what we need our regular docs to do? Yeah, but will they do that if you don't push for it or act like you know what the plan is? You're on a plan. You're on a I'm doing this, this, and this. I need you to do this and not this. They won't do it if you don't vocalize the plan and the knowledge. And remember, you can move on. Yes, comfort with a doctor is great. Knowing a doctor for a long time, great. You trust him. I get it. Honestly, I never had that because we were in the military, so we went every 3 years. There was no, I get to stay with my doctor for the 25 years. It just couldn't happen by virtue of serving in the military. Military wife. Let's make that clear. I feel like I served in my own capacity, but let's be clear. And for people who get to have a doctor for 25 years, I'm happy. I get it. Those relationships are very important. But if you feel like you're aging and there's issues there, educate yourself. Have a conversation with the doctor that you love. See what he or she says. They might surprise you and just roll right with you, and love the fact that you have the power. You looked it up. You read an article. You have questions. You wrote them down. You have concerns. You wrote them down. They might surprise you, or they might not. And my advice always to that is move on, because one of these doctors will have a conversation with you. They will love the give and take, because you're advocating for your own body and your own health. They will like it. They all don't, but a lot do. So don't feel bad about it, or don't feel like you can't express yourself, or say that doesn't work for me, because you hire them. You hire them for an expert opinion. Remember, it's an opinion formed from education and life experience. You have life experience. If you're my age, you have a shit ton of life experience. You know some stuff. Why? Because we're 51. We learned some stuff along the way, and that's good. So now, use your information. I wanted to share that story with you because I think it's important to be empowered. And I think it's important if you're shy and you feel like that is something way outside of your comfort zone, it can be done. You know, if you feel like it's so outside your comfort zone, just ask 2 questions. Write them down. Start very small. If you get a good rapport back and forth for your 2 questions, the next appointment you might be like 5 questions. You never know how it will feel unless you just try. Or 1 question. I say 2, but 1 will do. You never know. You might feel better. You might sleep better. You might get balanced hormonally. You might discover an entire new way to age. Thanks for being here. And I hope you guys like that story. I think it's important information. When I go to the functional doctor, I'll share them. When I have to go to a regular doctor, I will. Give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel. Hit the notification bell just so you know when I'm uploading videos because of the parameters changed on YouTube. So, thanks for being here. And it's been a long day, so I'm going to wash my face and get ready for bed. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.